Shares of JM Smucker are, well, moving to the downside by just a little bit, 0.1% after the consumer brand company, reported second quarter earnings that beat expectations despite profit decreasing from a year ago. The JM Smucker company's CEO, Mark Smucker, joins us now alongside Yahoo Finance's Brooke DePalma. Great to have you here with us today, and thanks for taking some time with us, Mark. First and foremost, when you think about this quarter, what some of the catalysts were that stick out to your mind, what would you attribute that to?
First of all, thanks for having me. And I would just respond by saying we are executing our strategy with tremendous focus. If you think about the three categories we play in, pet, coffee, and consumer foods, we are very focused. We put, supporting each and every one of those categories in our brands. And our strategy is to play across the full value spectrum. So we've seen growth, both top line and in share, in all of those categories.
And coffee consumption at home in particular continues to be a big play for Smuckers. All coffee brands contributed to 10% sales growth despite the company taking higher pricing this year. So break down for us where exactly Smuckers stands against its competitors and if you've seen any consumer slowdown in the recent months.
Sure, Brooke. We are clearly the leader and we play in every segment. So if you think about Folgers being a mainstream brand, Cafe Bustelo, Dunkin', more premium brands, and then, of course, the very important and high-growth one-cup segment with K-Cups, we have been able to very prudently pass along those cost increases to our consumers, being mindful of their needs as well. And we have been able to recover our dollar-for-dollar profit while still growing the top line and investing in those brands.
Mark, I think you surprised a lot of Uncrustable faithful. Since we last spoke, you rolled out Turkey and Colby Jack Bites Uncrustables. What has been the response to those? How many of those have you sold?
Those have actually done very well. It's a relatively soft launch, and we have been selling those products across the nation, and they have done very well. But keep in mind, the core of that brand is peanut butter and jelly in that round, crimped format, and demand is significant for those, and we continue to add capacity at multiple manufacturing locations just to meet that demand, and growth there is significant. We will double that business to $1 billion over time.
Hey, Mark, it's Julie here. And when we talk about pass-through of costs here, I'm looking at your various segments and seeing that the profit margin actually fell in all of your segments except pet. And was that just to do with you weren't able to raise costs enough to make up for your increased input costs? I noticed you talk a little bit about mix shift as well in some of the categories. Talk us through that.
Sure. So since the outset, we have been very clear that our goal in an inflationary environment is to recover dollar for dollar profit, recognizing that we may see some temporary pressure on margins, but over time we would be able to recover those margins. In this particular quarter, we did see incremental improvement in our margins, and we would expect to continue to see that over time while we continue to invest in all of our brands.
And taking a look at the coming year, fiscal year 2023, of course, you noted that you plan to increase, or rather you did increase, full year net sales expectations by 1.5%, noting plans to transform the JM Smucker portfolio. Can you tell us anything? Or do you have an eye on any other brands that maybe we might see JM Smucker acquire in the next year?
Well, as we think about M&A, we have been a very acquisitive company over time, and our strategy has been to optimize our portfolio. So we have of late had some divestitures, but we're always looking at brands and categories. And we've been trying to be very clear, if we were to acquire new brands, they would be additive to our existing categories, or if we were to enter a new category, that would really only be the case were we able to acquire a leadership position in a category. So nothing to report at this time, but always looking and interested while we continue to invest in our existing brands.
Have you been able to navigate what has been the supply chain disruption that you've talked about in this most recent earnings? And, where have you been able to adequately make sure that you've got inventory in each of your necessary channel partners to ensure that even if a customer is opting for one product versus another, that they still have accessibility to Smucker products?
Yeah, thanks for the question. In fact, our success, we believe, is in large part due to the fact that we have been able to expertly manage our supply chain. This has been a tribute to our people who have worked tirelessly and actually very passionately to ensure that we can meet the needs of our customers. And one of those things is all the way to the store shelves. We've implemented new capabilities that allow us to identify and fill distribution gaps and really maintain our products on shelves, which has helped our results.
And let's quickly touch on the core of your business, Smucker's fruit spreads. This quarter, you saw net sales grow 19%. You also noted that you reduced complexity and optimized SKU count by approximately 30%. Break down for us how much fruit spreads still make up a portion of your portfolio, and maybe perhaps any other future outlook of how this might play in the future.
So the Smucker's fruit spreads, if you think about it, is a relatively small portion of our portfolio, less than 10%. Yet the Smucker's brand, because it participates with Uncrustables and on ice cream toppings, as you're showing there on screen, is really closer to $1 billion brand. It is a very significant brand for us. And fruit spreads, being our namesake, jams and jellies, did very well because we optimized the long tail and actually refocused on the core products. And we saw a lot of consumers coming back to those core products, which helped drive the growth this quarter.
Mark, it's great to see you. Good to talk some food ahead of Thanksgiving. Hope you have a happy one. Mark Smucker, CEO of JM Smucker. Appreciate it. And of course, our Brooke De Palma.
Happy Thanksgiving.